I never imagined my son Tyler's high school graduation would turn into a battlefield. For 18 years, my husband David and I had carefully saved for his college education, building a substantial fund through countless sacrifices and extra shifts. My parents had always been controlling, but I never expected them to try claiming ownership of money that was never theirs to begin with. The look of calculated entitlement on their faces that day still haunts me, but what they did not know was that we had already seen them coming. Before I share how this day unfolded, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever had to protect your family from toxic relatives who thought they knew better than you. My relationship with my parents has always been complicated. What family relationships have you had to reconsider for your own well-being? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please subscribe to hear more journeys of finding peace after family trauma. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps anyone facing similar challenges find the courage to choose themselves. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Pennsylvania, I quickly learned that nothing I did was ever quite good enough. My father, William, worked as a bank manager, and my mother, Patricia, taught elementary school. They projected an image of the perfect American family to our community, but behind closed doors, they micromanaged every aspect of my life. From my clothes, to my friends, to my college major, every decision was scrutinized and often overruled. I met David during my second year of college, where I was studying engineering against my parents' wishes that I pursue law. David was everything my parents did not want for me, a creative spirit working toward a degree in architecture with no family money behind him. We married right after graduation, another decision my parents vocally disapproved of. Tyler was born 2 years later, and from the moment I held him, I promised myself I would be the kind of parent I had always wanted. David and I agreed that we would support his dreams, whatever they might be. When Tyler was just 3 months old, we opened a college savings account. Every month, without fail, we deposited money, often making personal sacrifices to ensure his future would be secure. My sister Stephanie married Harold, a successful businessman my parents adored, and had my nephew Brendan a year after Tyler was born. From the beginning, my parents doted on Brendan while maintaining a polite distance with Tyler. At family gatherings, they would lavish Brendan with expensive gifts while Tyler received impersonal gift cards or educational books. The inequality was subtle enough that I could never directly confront them without seeming petty, but consistent enough that it created a constant ache in my heart. Tyler grew into an exceptional young man, despite his grandparents' indifference. Thoughtful and academically gifted, he developed a passion for computer science and robotics in middle school. By his sophomore year of high school, he was already taking advanced placement courses and participating in national competitions. His dream was to attend Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a goal that seemed increasingly achievable as he collected academic honors and glowing teacher recommendations. Brendan, meanwhile, struggled academically, despite my parents hiring expensive tutors and pressuring my sister to enroll him in elite private schools. He was a kind kid with talents in music and sports, but academics were not his strong suit. My parents refused to acknowledge this, insisting he just needed more support than other students. They began spending extraordinary amounts of money on educational consultants and specialized programs, often commenting within earshot about how fortunate Stephanie was to have their financial support. The first sign of trouble came during a Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house when Tyler was a junior in high school. The conversation turned to college plans, and Tyler excitedly shared that he had just completed his first MIT application essay. My father immediately changed the subject, turning to Brendan to ask about his progress with the SAT tutor they had hired. Later, as David and I were helping clean up, I overheard my mother speaking to Stephanie in the study. "We need to be realistic about Brendan's options," my mother said in a hushed tone. "The Montgomery Fund might need to be redirected." There is no point in it sitting there for MIT when it could be used for getting Brendan into a good school with the right connections. I froze dish towel in hand. The Montgomery Fund was our family trust established by my grandparents for educational purposes. While it was technically under my parents' control until distributed, there had always been a clear understanding that it would be divided equally between the grandchildren for college. This fund was separate from the savings David and I had built for Tyler, but it represented a significant amount that we had factored into his college planning. That night, I mentioned the conversation to David as we drove home. Always the protective one, he suggested, we should start looking at our financial plans more carefully. If they are thinking about redirecting family money, he said, who knows what else they might try to control. His words proved prophetic. Over the next few months, my parents began asking increasingly detailed questions about Tyler's college fund. How exactly was it structured? Who were the account holders? Had we considered more conservative investment options? Each question seemed innocent enough on its own, but the pattern was concerning. By spring of Tyler's junior year, the situation had escalated significantly. During a family dinner celebrating my father's retirement, he casually mentioned that he and my mother had been reviewing the family's educational investments with their financial advisor. We think it makes sense for us to consolidate management of all educational funds, he announced, swirling his expensive scotch. With my banking background and newfound free time, I can ensure optimal returns for both Tyler and Brendan. David tensed beside me, but maintained his composure. That is a generous offer, William, but we have our own financial advisor who has been managing Tyler's college fund since he was an infant. We are quite happy with the growth. My mother jumped in her voice, taking on the condescending tone I knew all too well. But William has decades of experience in banking. Surely that outweighs whatever advice you are getting from your consultant. The pause before consultant made it clear she considered our financial planning inferior by default. The conversation might have ended there if not for my sister accidentally revealing more than she should have. After dinner, while the men were in the living room discussing my father's retirement plans, Stephanie pulled me aside in the kitchen. You should seriously consider Dad's offer, she said, loading the dishwasher. He and Mom have already restructured Brendan's educational trust to include provisions for extra support services and potentially an extra year or two of undergraduate study. What do you mean restructured? I asked, alarm bells ringing in my head. Stephanie looked uncomfortable. Well, Brendan might need more help than Tyler in college, you know that. Mom and Dad think it makes sense to allocate resources based on need rather than just splitting everything equally. And they want to do the same with Tyler's fund, I clarified, trying to keep my voice steady. Not exactly his fund, she backpedaled, realizing she had said too much. Just the family educational money. They think it should be more flexible. Brendan might need to attend a more expensive school to get the support he needs, while Tyler could probably get scholarships anywhere. That night, David and I stayed up late, discussing what we had learned. We decided to contact our bank first thing Monday morning. When we did, we discovered something disturbing. Someone had attempted to access information about Tyler's college fund twice in the previous month. The attempts were unsuccessful due to security protocols, but the bank representative confirmed they had been made by someone claiming to be me, who had several personal details but failed the security questions. We need to move the money, David said decisively after I relayed this information. If they are already trying to access it, this is more serious than we thought. Over the next 2 weeks, we met with our financial advisor and attorney to create a new secure account structure for Tyler's college fund. We transferred every penny from the original accounts into the new ones, ensuring they were protected by enhanced security measures and legally structured to prevent anyone but us from accessing them. We also consulted a lawyer about the family trust money my parents controlled, but were advised that challenging them would be difficult without explicit documentation of the original intent. As Tyler's senior year progressed and graduation approached, my parents became increasingly insistent about helping with his college financial planning. Each time we deflected, saying we had everything under control. My father began making comments about how expensive MIT would be and how Tyler might be better off at the state university where he had connections with the administration. My mother repeatedly emphasized how Brendan needed extra consideration due to his learning challenges. A month before graduation, during a family brunch to celebrate both boys' birthdays, which were 2 weeks apart but always celebrated together, at my parents' insistence, my father cornered David near the grill. "I have been meaning to speak with you man to man," he said, flipping burgers with unwarranted intensity. "Patricia and I have been discussing the boys' futures. Given Tyler's academic record, he will likely receive merit scholarships. We think it makes practical sense to reallocate some of his educational funding to Brendan, who will need more support." David, always more direct than me, looked my father in the eye. "William, the money we have saved for Tyler is not up for reallocation. It is there for his education period." My father's face hardened. "You might want to reconsider. Family helps family. Brendan is struggling, and we all need to make sacrifices." "Tyler will not be sacrificing his education fund," David said firmly. "That topic is not open for discussion." The tension between David and my parents escalated over the following weeks. They began excluding him from family communications, directing everything to me in hopes I would be more pliable. They scheduled lunches with just Tyler and me, attempting to discuss his college plans without David present. Tyler, perceptive, as always, reported back to his father about these uncomfortable conversations, where his grandparents suggested he consider more practical options than MIT. The day before graduation, my mother called to confirm our plans for the ceremony and subsequent celebration. "We have reserved a private room at the Glendale Club," she informed me. "We have some exciting news to share with Tyler about his future. Please do not mention anything to him yet. We want it to be a surprise." A sense of dread washed over me. "What kind of surprise, Mom?" "Just a special graduation gift," she replied evasively. "Something to help secure his future." After hanging up, I immediately called David at his office. "They are planning something for tomorrow," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Something about Tyler's future." "Do not worry," David reassured me. "Everything is protected. Whatever they are planning cannot touch the money we have set aside for him." Despite his confidence, I barely slept that night, my mind racing with potential scenarios and confrontations. The graduation day arrived with a perfect blue sky seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing within our family.